exhausted. I am really tired. But that's why we come do this stuff. I like to get out. You spend the whole winter all cooped up, you know, and for people who can't get out, you know, I get it. I think that's why I like to make these videos, you know, I mean, not just for me, but for people who can't come here, both physically and maybe wherever they're living. Get to share some of this stuff, because it is wonderful. I can't bring you the smells and all that kind of stuff, but or the mosquito bites. You're probably going to be happy for that. Feeling like I got hit with a meat tenderizer. Bug spray ain't working. These guys are on a mission. So for tonight, I got the ROV charged back up. Cameras are all charged back up, whatnot. And I think in the morning, I think I'm gonna get off me. I think I'm gonna break camp in the morning and head over to the day use area. There's a boat ramp over there, and that's not too far. It's over that way around this crown over here. Little coves, several coves along in here. There's one here and one over there and over there, and a couple more this way. Nice little beach over here. It's a beautiful area. But anyway, I think I'll go to the day use thing. They've got a boat ramp down there, and try to put the kayak in. Not exactly sure what I need to film here, but I'm wondering if there's anything under there like I found at the other end of the lake. So the trick might be tying off somewhere. Last time I filmed Waldo, I used a drag camera. This time I have the pedal drive and the ROV. So I don't know. I mean, I could technically beach up to one of these islands out here and just go from there, because that would probably work. There are lots of little islands out here. So I might check into that. Little tiny one out there looks promising, but no one goes to that one. So maybe I'll do that. But for the rest of the night, I think I'm just going to try to relax, chill out, and fight mosquitoes, because they're on a mission. All right. So I found some of these sitting in a fire pit. I think that's those citronella little squirrely things that they sell. Anyway, these were sitting in a fire pit, so I pulled them out of the fire pit, stuck one on a rock, unlike that idiot over there that decided to burn it right on the table. Anyway, set it on a rock and see if it does anything. I don't know if I necessarily believe in these things, but I'll try it. Well, a late start, 7 a.m. on the water. Takes a while to get this kayak all set up, but mosquitoes are thick out here on the water too. I can't believe this, man. I mean, it was kind of funny. After I got the kayak ready to go and had to move the car, excuse me. Once I got the car, the kayak all unloaded and everything ready to go, I need to go park the car. Went to get back in the car. Holy cow, look at that. Check that out. Oh, that's awesome. Anyway, nice. got in the car, it was so thick in mosquitoes that I kind of instinctively reached for the windshield wipers. It was inside the car. So, yeah, I don't know if it's just this time of year. I don't recall having this bad of an issue last time I was here. But I don't also remember what time of year it was either, so hard to say. Anyway, so I put in at the day use boat ramp and left the boat ramp, took a right, and I'm heading over to some of those islands area that I filmed yesterday, and we'll see what we can get. In the meantime, see what I see. So it's a beautiful view this morning, and I remembered my sunglasses today. Anyway, we'll get on point over there and start getting things ready for some underwater video, and see what this end of the lake looks like underwater versus my first video on Waldo Lake. So right away I found this large crack in the bedrock, and you'll notice that the substrate here is, even after thousands of years, it's very, very thin. There is no rivers or anything that run into Waldo, so there's no all these nutrients and stuff like that, and they no longer stock Waldo with fish. They stopped that some years ago, but there are some people that are still catching fish out of there, so I'm assuming that they are breeding out there. But the landscape out here is fairly flat because it's all been scrubbed off the bedrock, at least in this area. It does drop off and go down to, I believe, 420 feet at its deepest points, which is pretty deep. But so the idea here is to kind of look around and try to find areas where glaciers have melted and deposited their boulders and stuff like that they were carrying. So this little hilltop I found, it's actually kind of a rise in the bedrock. You can see, my guess is that perhaps this is where a glacier segment got stuck and then melted and deposited all of its rocks and kind of in one spot, which is fairly typical. I seem to see this here and there. You can see in the distance a rather large rock over there, and it's fairly close to the surface. I would say, I think if I remember right, that was only about a foot or two below the surface. And the thing about Waldo, and I said this in my older video when I did the north end of this lake, you know, do proceed with caution out here, even in a kayak, because I've found rocks that are just barely, I mean, 1/8 of an inch underneath the water. So when you're out there paddling around, you know, take heed of that and watch where you're going. Especially around some of these islands or something like that at the north end too. I mean, pretty much everywhere. Just be advised. I'm very fortunate to have this ROV for my underwater video work that I use alongside my drag cameras and other things like that. The ROV allows me to do exploration, like you can obviously tell I'm doing here. You just kind of drive it around and explore and find what you can. There's risks involved with using it, for sure. You just gotta have some good experience in controlling these things. You don't want to disturb nature with them, and just be very careful. But it's a real asset to be able to film like this, explore and share these things with people online. The other nice thing is that utilizing the ROV, filming in 4K with both the drag cameras and the ROV, is when you see things underwater like this, it's a completely different perspective than what you get looking from the surface down. And oftentimes with like Crescent Lake I just filmed the day before this, as well as Waldo and many other lakes, the ripples in the water alter your perception of what you're able to see, and down here you can actually get It's just some incredible, you know, three-dimensional type views of what you're actually seeing down there. What you're looking at here is the land heading up to one of the small islands. It's obviously a big rise in the bedrock, and you can tell that by looking at the rocks. Normally, when you see rocks that are in sediment and soft sediment, you don't really see the curvature underneath the rock and stuff. These all, if you look closely at the bottom edge of these rocks, you can tell they're sitting on something very hard. There's not a lot of sediment around these rocks at all. So the white patches you see here, I was able to probe those, and what I found was about maybe at best a half an inch of sediment at the white patches, and the rest of it is just other detritus and things like that that are sitting on top of the bedrock. But you can see the slope of the bedrock that drops down to the left, and that of course heads out further into the lake where it drops off ultimately somewhere to 420 feet. My ROV only goes down to 310, which is pretty damn respectable. But 420 feet's way on down there. I do have headlights on mine, but thus far I've not needed to use them. One thing that you'll notice is the lack of plant life here. The day before I had filmed Crescent Lake, and at Crescent Lake I was able to find one species of underwater plant life, and but thus far, I think it was like 3 years ago or so, I filmed the north end of Waldo, and didn't really find much up there either. I was able to find some pre and post lava flow material up there. When I say pre and post, I'm talking about when the glacier dug this lake out. But thus far, no plant life at the south end that I've found. So if you look off in the distance, you can see a little rise in the bedrock and some shadows from a tree and a fallen tree here. For those that are actually interested in any of the geology here, this was a fault block that kind of dropped, like the Earth's surface kind of came down, cracked a lot of the bedrock, and then of course when the glaciers came in, it just scrubbed everything flat. As you walk around the trails at Waldo Lake, as well as looking underwater here, you'll find large open segments of bedrock. And if you look closely at them, you'll notice there's striations or lines that are in this bedrock. And if you look close enough at them, kind of pay attention to what's around you, you'll notice they all head the same direction. And of course, that indicates the direction that the glacier was moving as it scrubbed everything down. Okay, I got the first dive in. It went pretty good. What I'm not seeing at this location is a lot of exposed bedrock. I do find some, but there's obviously a lot of boulders that have been drug in from when this was carved out by a glacier. This glacier in this valley right here, just, man, it really deposited a lot of big boulders of all kinds of rocks. I mean, I have no idea where all it drug them from. It seems like if you look at the striations on the bedrock, it'd be this direction over that way to this way, or that way that way. So at least that's the way the glacier was moving at the time. But you know, some of that could also be from shrinking. So I don't know, because the lake kind of goes this way, and it doesn't mean anything, I guess. But definitely carved out a big valley. But there's exposed bedrock everywhere up on land. And at the other end of the lake, when I filmed the other end of the lake last year, I was able to find boulders, of course, that have been drug in and deposited by the glacier, but also ancient lava flows that apparently were here before the glacier. And a lot of that was scrubbed off by the glacier through some of that. and down to the bedrock. And I thought that was kind of interesting because I also later on found on that trip a lava flow that had happened after the glacier. And down at this peak over here, I noticed an outcropping of lava that obviously is on top of the bedrock. So, and you can see the bedrock underneath it. So, but as far as underwater goes, if I try to shore up near one of these islands, the problem is I'm like on a hill of boulders, and the water depth is not really deep enough to be able to maneuver around safely. So I ended up, it looks really smooth out here. I'm expecting that a lot of this is just kind of silt on top of bedrock, because as I'm cruising around sometimes I'm able to see exposed bedrock in a couple of spots, and then it'll have like silt on it, and then vegetation, a lot of vegetation, just kind of, I don't know, some kind of mossy looking stuff. Not a lot. It's not very deep. You can actually probably just blow it off with the thrusters if you wanted to, but I don't like to disturb anything. But yeah, and then you just randomly run across out in the middle of nowhere. You just run across a boulder or something like that out there. This just been, towards the top of the glacier when it melted. It just kind of, that's where they sat. And that's kind of a neat thing about this lake is that as you cruise around in here and you're filming underwater, you'll just randomly find these boulders of different various types, and you take yourself in history back, to when this all happened. And at least I find that interesting because you think about, where did that boulder come from? It could have come from hundreds of miles away, who knows? And then when the glacier melted, it just went plop right there, and that's where it's been ever since. So, I mean, a lot of these rocks you see here, if not all, I mean most, I don't know, there can't be many that are here other than the bedrock and stuff, aren't from this area. And that's pretty interesting. So I think I'm going to cruise over that way a little bit, that way, and maybe put in over there and see what I see. Have a look at that. The wind's not kicking yet, so take advantage of that. This area is pretty neat. I don't know if you can see this or not, but this area is pretty neat because as you look out, I don't know if you can see it because of the reflection or not, but as you look out, I don't know if I can block that or not. As you look out into the water, you can see where this is all bedrock. This is all bedrock that's just been shattered by the weight of the glacier and then, scrubbed off and kind of pushed. It's like a whole shelf of it that comes out from right there on that peak. All around me, it's a big shelf of bedrock. It's all been torn off. It's kind of neat. Too shallow to run the ROV in here, but I thought it was kind of cool. I'm sure to some people, these are just rocks in a lake. And while that's true, I think one of the things that just fascinates me so much is some of these rocks could have come from hundreds of miles away, millions of years ago, and were deposited here in these very spots. Like this one coming into view right here. This one I thought was kind of interesting because I know that it's sitting on maybe half an inch of sediment. Yet you'll notice how flat it's sitting. What that tells me is the underside of it is very flat. And that means it was drug for miles and miles by a glacier to flatten off the bottom and deposit it there. Everything's got history to it. Not just geological history, everything has history to it. And I think when we combine nature and history together, you get for some really fascinating stories. And I guess what I find interesting about that is, while we can read about history in books and things like that, when you talk about nature and history, Oftentimes we'll walk down a hiking trail and just to, take in the beauty of it. But it's when you start looking really, really close. It's the details that matter. Those details in history are what tell the complete story. You just got to look. And when we look, we need to take the time to experience, as I say, nature. Part of experiencing that is to take the time to truly observe what it is you're seeing in detail. I feel blessed to not only have the support of my family, but to have the equipment to do these things, to share these things, and enjoy it in depth and explore, and motivated by subscribers and comments and things like that I get on my channel. I enjoy doing this because I enjoy doing what I'm doing. When I get comments and new subscribers and things like that, it just really pushes me on and lets me know other people are interested too. I know my videos can be very long. It's because I don't believe you can box nature into a 10-minute video. My videos are designed to be an experience. And that's what I mean when I say experience nature. If you can't be here, hopefully my videos can be of help. In these clips right here coming up, as well as some prior, you'll notice that a lot of these rocks are very close to the surface. And this goes to the jetties and the little islands. And let's face it, if you're on a kayak or a boat or something, you really want to go out to those little islands. I get it. But be careful, because if you fall out of your kayak, or your paddleboard stops suddenly or something like that, you're liable not to go splash. You might just go thump. And look at that rock sticking up right there. That'd really make for a bad day. So know your surroundings. This giant rock's got a flat side on it from being drug along with the glacier until it eventually fell and rolled over. My kayak is just under 11 feet long, and this thing's another third larger than my kayak. So this is a big boy. This clip right here showcases what I've been referring to. You can see exposed bedrock on the bottom edge of your screen. You can see layered bedrock and shelving above it. And in the distance, you can see a boulder sitting right on top of the bedrock. So you know the detritus of the substrate is very thin on this lake bottom, where the bedrock has been. So I was really happy to find this particular spot just to triple verify my thoughts, and it really gives validation to what I'm seeing out there and my theories as well. This is that rock you just saw in the distance away from the shelf. And if you look beyond it in the bedrock, you can see these large gouges in the bedrock. And there happens to be a rock right in the middle of it. This rock that you're looking at right here could have very well been dug through that channel as well. One thing's for sure, no one moved these. So they've been there for millions of years. And you can see that carved channel in the bedrock goes out there a long way. This clip really showcases why I love the ROV so much for exploration, because I can stay on station and go and look at exactly what I want to look at and try to work out theories and ideas as to what happened and why it's the way it is. And the ROV really gives me the freedom to look for as long as I want at a particular thing and follow trails and things like that. It's a very, very useful tool. So by this time the winds were kicking up pretty good outside of this cove, so I thought I had a long way to go to get back, and I wanted to get some aerial footage, so let's get on to that. V2, south end of Waldo Lake. It's just as beautiful as the north end used to be before the fires burned it down. So if you want to see what it used to look like, check out an older video of mine. Should have been about 3 years ago. Waldo Lake, Amber Dog Productions. And you'll get to see kind of the comparative between the two. What I will notice about this end of the lake that I found interesting is that I didn't really find a lot of lava flows, like pre-glacier lava flows like I did at the other one. I found pre and post glacier lava flows at the north end. At the south end, I only found what I believe is one post-glacier lava flow. That's why you'll see so much of Waldo. You'll see so much exposed bedrock with lots of striations. If you spend some time hiking the trails, or looking at the videos underwater, you'll see exposed bedrock where it was just ripped right down to the weight of the glacier, and the movement of the glacier just tore all the dirt right off, clear down to bedrock. It's incredible. It really is. Imagine a bulldozer being able to remove all the earth down to the bedrock and then break up the bedrock, in shelves and shale and just tear it up too. It's phenomenal power. It really is. And a lot of that is on display in the videos that I just took, the underwater. And in the old one too, the other Waldo Lake, the north end I did. It's really fascinating. But the water clarity at Waldo is absolutely beautiful. It's stunning. The aerial video really showcases that. You can see where the bedrock goes off, and then like a cliff on the bedrock, and then it just drops off into the deep. It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. So being able to capture both underwater and in the air to kind of get a big picture of these lakes is kind of one of my big focuses of my channel. I really enjoy it. So Waldo Lake, again, was fantastic. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you on the next one. This is Dana Price at Amber Dog Productions. Don't forget, experience nature.